Hi students, in this tutorial we're gonna go ahead and create our second Android application. So let's create a new Android Studio project here. So the application name is going to be second number or app number 2. It doesn't really make a difference. You can name it whatever you want. You can specify the company domain, package name, and the project location here. So let's click on next. And here we need to specify the minimum SDK for our application. So for minimum SDK, choose API 16 Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. Okay, so this is going to be the minimum version of Android Studio, minimum version of Android operating system that our application is allowed to run. Okay, so the user's device must at least have this version of Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, and phone and tablet. So just click on next, and here choose basic activity. Just click on next here, and activity name is main activity, the layout name is activity underline main, title main activity, and the menu resource name is menu underline main. So I suggest that you actually don't change any of these values here. Just click on finish. So now it's gonna create the project for us. So let's wait a little bit here. So as you can see, it's actually showing me a little errors here. I just need to wait. As you can see at the bottom, it says Gradle build running. So now it's gonna actually solve the problem for me. It's gonna render here, and now the errors are gone. But if the error actually exists here, if the error is not gone for your specific Android Studio, you just need to click on build at the top and then click on rebuild project, or you can actually close the Android Studio and then open it again. So now let's actually look at these files here. Look at this file here. This is actually content underline main.xml. And let's click on this activity underline main.xml. So you can see that we have two XML files. The first one is activity underline main.xml, and the second file is content underline main.xml. And the reason is that we actually specified that we want to use basic activity. When we created the application, we used basic activity as the template. So that's why it has actually created two XML files for us. So what's the difference? So let's actually click on this activity underline main.xml here. Let's open it, and you can see that we have this floating action button. I can select this floating action button, right? So let's go to this text tab here at the bottom. You can see that as you can see at the right hand side, we have this preview. Let's actually collapse this preview. So you can see these XML files, these XML codes and we can see these codes. And let's actually look at this line of code here in line number 24 here. It says include layout @layout / content underline main. So this means that this activity underline mains actually includes this content underline main, right? So now inside this activity underline main, I can actually delete this floating action button, but inside this content underline main.xml here at the top, I can actually switch between these tabs. So if I actually switch to content underline main.xml tab, you can see that I cannot select this floating action button here. But if I actually switch to activity underline main.xml, I can select this floating action button and then I can delete it. But there is another difference, and is that inside this activity underline main.xml, I cannot select this hello world text view, right? This activity underline main.xml actually includes this content underline main.xml. So if I actually go to this content underline main.xml, now you can see that I can select this hello world text view and then press on delete key on my keyboard. So at the bottom, if I actually go to this text tab, you can see that we have actually a relative layout here. I'll talk more about these layouts later, but for now, just know that the relative layout is going to actually position our user interface components according to other components, right? So for example, inside this widgets folder, inside this palette section here, you can see that we have this widgets folder. So let's select this text view, and now let's drag this text view here inside this relative layout. So you can see these arrows, and it is actually pointing to other directions. So this means that this text view can be positioned according to these directions, right? For example, down. Or let's actually select this text view here again. And you can see that I can actually put it wherever I want. So let's actually put it here at the center. So you can see these dotted lines that is actually specifying that this text view can be actually at the center horizontal and center vertical. Let's put it here. And now I can actually give a text to this text view. So look at this properties section here on the right hand side. We can give an ID to this text view. We can give actually a layout width, a layout height. I'll talk more about these later. So for now, let's give a text to this text view. So look at this text attribute here. But if you cannot see these properties here, at the bottom it says view all properties, right? Just click on it. And here we can see all these properties here, right? So now let's actually search for a specific property. So for example, I want to search for the text property. I can select one of these properties here, and now I can type in text. And as you can see, I can actually find this text property here, and I can change the text of this text view. So I just need to double click on this value and I can change it here. So I can say, put your text here. For example, put your text here, and then press an enter key on your keyboard. So I changed the text of this text view. So let's actually increase the text size, the font size of this text view. So again, select one of these properties here and just search for text size attribute, text size. So now we can see this text size attribute here. Just click on it. And now let's increase it to 18 SP. Or I can actually change it to 24 SP. So remember, the SP is actually used for for the size of our texts inside our text views. So always use SP for the font size. This is very important. And now I can actually also make this text view, the text actually bold. Okay, so just click on this text style. So you can see that we have normal, bold, italic. Let's select this bold, right? I can actually uncheck this normal checkbox here and just check this bold here. So you can see this value here, right? And now I can run our application and let's see what happens. So just at the top, just click on this run button or this play button and select one of these devices. And I just click on OK here. So let's wait. And by the way, if you want to increase the font size of your Java codes, so as you can see, our application is not allowed to run. Why? Because in the activity underline main XML, if you remember, we actually deleted this floating action button. And inside this main activity.java file class, so let's actually double click on this main activity.java file. So if you can't find this tab here, you just need to, inside this view here, inside this Android view here on the left hand side, you just need to open this Java folder and then open this package by just clicking on this little triangle and then double click on this main activity file. Okay. And here, in order to make this Java codes here a little bit wider, let's double click on this main activity.java file. So it is now wider. And as you can see, we have this piece of code here that is related to the floating action button. We don't have the floating action button now. So this piece of code here is actually redundant. And this piece of code is the cause of the error. This piece of code does not allow our application to run. So let's select it here inside this onCreate method. I just need to select this piece of code here that is actually related to the floating action button and delete it, right? So make sure that you actually do not delete the closing curly brace of this onCreate method here. So now the error is solved. Let's run our application again. Let me show you the emulator. Let me increase the width and the height of this emulator so that you can see it better. So now let's wait. And by the way, if you want to actually increase the font size of your Java codes here, you just need to click on at the top, just click on Android Studio. So if you are using a Windows machine, you just need to click on File, okay, and then click on Settings. So if you are using a Mac, just click on Android Studio at the top and then click on Preferences. So now here, open the editor here by just clicking on this little triangle and then open Colors and Fonts and then click on Font. So here, in order to actually increase the font size of our Java codes, we need to create a new scheme. So here, you just need to click on this Save As, and then you just need to give a unique name to your scheme. For example, My Unique Scheme, right? And then click on OK. So we actually created a new scheme. And now I can increase the font size of my Java codes. So currently it is now 22, right? I can increase it to, for example, 30. And then I can click on OK. So as you can see, the font size of my Java codes now increased. Or you can actually change the theme of your Android Studio. So in order to do that, you just need to click on, at the top, just click on Android Studio, Preferences, and then Open Editor. And inside the editor, just click on General here. And you can see that we have this appearance. Okay, you can actually change these properties here, but let's actually click on these colors and fonts and click on General here inside these colors and fonts. And now I can actually change the theme of my application. So I have default. So these are the themes that I actually created in the past. I have dark Yola copy. And all these other, for example, this is my new scheme, my unique scheme. So you can see that the font size increased. But you can actually make it bold. As you can see here, you can make them italic or bold. So you can actually change this background color. So for example, if I select this, you can see this, it says background, right? And you can see this black color. If I click on it, I can change the background color of my codes. So for example, I can select this red here at the bottom, and I can actually change it to blue. If I click on choose, I can click on OK here at the bottom. As you can see, the background color here is now blue. If I want to change them, I just need to again go to Preferences again, Android Studio Preferences. And again, if you are using a Windows machine, you just need to click on File, Settings. So Preferences. And again, I just need to go inside this editor, Colors and Fonts, and then General. And here for the background, I can actually change the background color to, for example, green. If I click on choose, now the background color is green. So let's actually make it black. So let's actually take this handler and then just drag it here at the bottom so that the background color is going to be black, and then click on choose. So now the background color is black. And now let's actually click on this font again. Let me actually decrease the font so that it is actually 23. Let's click on OK. So now we can see that the background color is black, and you can see that the font size of my Java codes is actually 23. I can actually change the text. So let's actually click on this Preferences here and then go to Font. And now I can click on this General. So you can see this foreground, right? So I can change this foreground color to, for example, red. Let's click on choose and let's see what happens. So you can see that the color of this text is now actually red. If I click on OK, you can see now these colors here, this red color for specific features. So let's actually go back to Android Studio at the top and then click on Preferences again. And let's actually change this color to, for example, to blue, and then click on choose. And then click on OK. So you can see now it is blue. Let's go to Android Studio again, Preferences. Let's change this color to white. So here at the bottom, I can actually select this handler and drag it to the top. And now I can just put this here, this pointer at the center, and then I can just click on choose. So now the color is white, right? So you can see this white color here. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can actually customize the font color, the background color, the foreground color. You can do anything with your Android Studio. So let's actually let me show you the Android Studio here, and now you can see that our application is running on this emulator, and you can see this text here at the center, right? So I think that's enough for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're gonna continue building this application. And by the way, I actually created this tutorial in order to update the original Part 1 app number 2 section of the course, of the Android Studio course. I am actually updating the course. So please, if you have any problems, if you actually encounter any problems regarding Android Studio and specifically its newest features, please post a discussion in the course, and then I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.